Para tener tu casa libre de migajas, no necesitas este robotito. Necesitas las galletas María de chocolate Goya. Porque están hechas con chocolate de verdad. Son perfectas para compartir y alegrar cualquier momento. Las galletas María de chocolate Goya son tan buenas que no se les escapa ni una migaja. Y Pipa encontró un juguete nuevo.
Si es Goya, tiene que ser bueno.
Nobody even knows I exist. I have no friends. Clearly she doesn't like me. Why wasn't I invited? They live like 3 houses down. I hate this. I hate my life. I'm never gonna...
Press pause, Mateo. I'm you, years from now. And let me tell you, life turned out pretty good, man. I know you can't see it now, but all these feelings you have, and the moment you're in right now, it's nothing more than that. A tiny moment. God chose you for a purpose. You're gonna go off and make those friends, the right ones. You're gonna have a family that likes you for you.
And you are gonna go off and do extraordinary things.
So my advice to you now, just take a breath. Press pause and remember, you are a precious gift from God. You are valued.
Goya Cares, because you are a precious gift from God.
Crime Stoppers, en el continuo trabajo por proteger a nuestra comunidad, el pasado 7 de agosto realizó un evento en alianza con Goya Cares y Vibra Latina, mostrando el documental Víctimas, una historia de la vida real que muestra los angustiantes momentos que enfrenta una familia en tratar de rescatar a su hija de las manos de una red de trata de personas. Al finalizar el documental, se realizó un panel de discusión con expertos para brindar educación y prevención a las familias asistentes. A continuación, compartimos con ustedes la información.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story, Britta. Powerful, moving, emotional, and I'm sure it is both therapeutic and hard to reshare the story over and over again, but you are doing it and doing it so graciously. What is your hope that people take away from your journey of Britta's story?
First, I want to say thank you to Gabby and Vibra Latina. I'd also like to say thank you to Goya Cares and Goya, because they really do care, and to Crime Stoppers, and to all of you for coming today, because we make a difference. I think the most important thing that I'd like this documentary to do is to show that it can happen to anybody. We did everything we thought we could do to raise a good family. And when our daughter went off to college, on that very first night, she just went to a party and somebody dropped a pill in her drink and she woke up and she was raped. She struggled with that. And within 1 semester, my daughter was hooked on drugs and she was being sold on Backpage. I didn't even know what Backpage was. And that was an introduction to us. And as this was playing out, we felt like it was a nightmare. No one believes that you're walking through what you're walking through. And this is a very uncomfortable subject that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Sometimes you bring it up and start talking about it and you can see the glaze in the eyes, or they want to turn their face and don't want to talk about this subject. So thank you for making a documentary that's very uncomfortable to discuss. Secondly, we can teach our children to be safe. Third, we can work in unity together. And fourth, we can leave our mark so that the predator knows that they are not in control. And that's what you guys are doing by coming here and learning. And so I think that this documentary, and every time you have events like this, that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Goya Cares, for making this possible for us, literally making this possible for us to keep talking about it, because we want to make sure that nobody at Houston, nobody at the other end of our voices is going to be the next gift for a predator.
For those of you that are young people and you're not looking me eye to eye on this one, I want your attention. I need your attention, because what I'm about to tell you will help save your ass from not being trafficked or taken advantage of or sexually exploited by a man or a woman ever. So I need you to really pay attention to me. I want your eyeballs. Because I can look at your parents and talk to your parents all day long, and they're gonna look at me and be like, oh yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that. But I can look at you, I'm gonna talk some real talk about what I mean here. And so the other way that this is happening is in strip clubs, where there's a well-known case of a little girl who had a boyfriend. She just turned 18 years old. She wanted to move out. She wanted to be independent of her parents. Her boyfriend talked her into going and waitressing at a strip club because she could make good money for them. And they gave her over 18 shots, lots of alcohol, put her in a car and let her drive home. While she was there, on the way home, she was killed, jackknifed. The minute you put a cell phone in your child's hands, girls, the minute you have a cell phone in your hand, you have now been exposed to millions of people that have access to you, that will hit you up, and I can give you the terms right now of what's happening. They will hit you up. Hey, I met you through this friend. I went to school with this girl. You have no clue if that dude went to school with your friend. And then all of a sudden, you start building a relationship, because your relationships now, your kids' relationships, are primarily online, not in person. And if you think that you're gonna tell your child, and I'm going off here, I'm going crazy, am I? If you think you're going to tell your child, oh, those aren't real people, that's just, you're talking to them on digital equipment, you're stupid. Don't tell people that. Don't tell your children that. But do you see what I'm saying? So when you're talking with your child on that, that's universal. The minute you put a cell phone in your hand, girls, I am telling you, lots of people have access to you. Lots of people want to take advantage of you, because the minute they get you, the minute they groom you into getting out of the protection of your family, and when you don't listen to your parents' gut instinct that something doesn't feel right, and you trust that person on the other end of that digital line more than you trust your own family, you're done. Whether in the ground, unfortunately, like Britta, or strung out on drugs for the rest of your life. They do not care. So the minute, that's what's universal. Universal is the online world is after your child. Universal is the online world, and men and women out there want to take advantage of you to make money so they don't have to go to work every day. Because it's easier to put you out there on the streets or online and sell you than to have to go to a 9-to-5 job every day. Does that make sense? Have conversations with your children. Kids, stop hiding from your parents. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're really the only ones that give a that if you go missing, they're gonna come find you. When you go missing, they're calling me, and we're hitting the streets to go find you. That's not pretty what I find.
We have a situation today, our children are in trouble. We have to stop and wake up. But it's the, like she's saying, it's technology. The minute our new generation of children have technology, they're in trouble. It's just that we don't see them on the streets. But technology has now, we have a new pandemic, and that's the technology and our kids. And guess what? We all think our kids are fine because they're smiling and they're having fun. But the predators know that not only are our children wounded, do you know that for every one child in the foster system, 24 children are being raised by kinship? Let that settle in. There's many facts, but for every one child in the foster system, 24 are being raised by kinship. The heart of a child is wounded.
And when she says kinship, she means by family members.
Family members.
Right? Other family members are raising those children.
So now you've got children with wounded hearts, and then you've got technology in front of them, and you've got predators coming after children. For the first time in history, let this fact set in your heart. For the first time in history, the cartel makes more money in trafficking than it does selling drugs. Take a minute and let that set in. They make more money in trafficking than they do selling their drugs. What's happening is they're gonna go after our kids. Like she said, it's already happening. Their market is big. So we need to know And we need to get busy in doing whatever we can. Like these meetings, these seats need to be filled. We need to tell our friends. This sweet woman here, I forgot your name. Elena, she just saw this on social media, and I want to say thank you for coming, because she's a concerned American woman who just said this is an important issue, and she saw it and she signed up and came, and she called friends to come with her. These should be issues that we tell other people and we're talking about, and we get whoever we can, and you go home and you talk to it about with your families and your friends, and people are going to be uncomfortable. We need to keep talking about this.
Elsa, I want to add to what Jennifer said, what Elsa said, and then I want to make sure that we bring Mayte into the conversation. First of all, Bob, at the beginning of the film, said, you know, we talk about going into neighborhoods, but we need to do beyond that. We need to go into people's homes. Now, if you're a young person, we're talking to the young people because we care so much, and we know that you're an asset to some of these predators. You're gonna think, there's no way I'm gonna end up on a street corner on Bissonnette, like, that's not gonna happen. But, I did send a picture I shouldn't have sent. I did already send a video I shouldn't have sent. And now I feel stuck. I want you guys to know, and tell your friends too, that even if you've done that, we will help you. We will step in and we will help you. Any one of the people here, in addition to Crime Stoppers, it is never ever you versus a predator. You will not win that fight. I promise you, you will not win that fight. Please, for you and your friends. But we can win it, and we don't have to get, nobody needs to know that you've gotten us involved. We can win it. Now, Mayte, you guys have come in through Goya Cares, and you weren't originally in this space, but you decided to give wings, to give legs and arms to all of us in this space, and you've expanded by leaps and bounds the message and the work. What led you all to it, and what are your hopes for Goya Cares?
Well, I heard Jennifer Hohman 10 years ago at Stratford High School. My sister took me, and I never forgot her presentation. It was so vivid, so well presented, that I never forgot it. I went home, and I was in panic, and educated my kids, and the kids around our family. Years later, my boss comes into the office. He sees Sound of Freedom before it was a movie. And he backed it up and he said, we can't turn our back on this. There's a lot of people who don't know this is happening. They live in a different reality. But when they open their eyes, they say, what can we do? And I thank God that he did say that. He said, we're not gonna turn our back on this. We're gonna do something, and we have. We sell beans, and we are a food company. We're not involved in this field, but our very own family it hit so close to home that we had to do something about it. And as a company, if you're a parent in this room, you can ask your company to educate your employees. You can ask your schools to ask Crime Stoppers to come and give a presentation. We need to do something. I have less important things to say than these ladies here, but I will say that I was convicted, and we need to convict our friends. When someone told me, when we had a conversation, and I casually said, oh yeah, I know Houston's #1 in trafficking, casually said it, like, we all know it, right? Everyone in the city knows it. But then someone looked at me square in the eyes, and she said, what are you doing about it? And my heart sunk, and I was ashamed, because I didn't do much about it. I educated my own little peeps, but not going out And that's what we're doing now. That's what Elsa and Charles are doing, and that's what I encourage all parents to do. We can do it. Even the youngest one here can say, that's not right, that's not okay. This next generation is gonna stop this because they are a caring generation that's gonna say, this is not okay. So if we see something, we say something. We don't have to put our neck out. We call the authorities. We call the right people, and I'll let someone else answer. But when we do that, we let those predators know, not in my house, not in my city, no more. We have put money behind creating videos that are engaging, that tell these stories. One, here's one, but many different resources. They're found on GoyaCares.com and GoyaCares.org, and they're testimonies, there's videos, there's tons of information available. We also partner with Crime Stoppers. They go into the schools, they educate what we cannot. We're a company. We're gonna sell you a can of beans, and on the beans there's a label that has Goya Cares QR code. And the more we sell, the more we give. And that's it, because we all can do something. So there's resources there, but just by calling Crime Stoppers, there are feet on the ground that have those resources.
We want to get into some of the resources. Elsa, talk about Meant to Soar.
At the very end, when they asked how I saw Britta, my favorite part of the documentary is where Gabby showed our daughter on stage, where she is Anne Frank. And that was, you captured our heart in that part of the documentary, because I was shocked when she was going home and she said she was gonna be Anne. That is my daughter, when she was on stage, and you're seeing the real Britta. The girl that was trafficked, she was robbed of the life she was meant to be. And Meant to Soar is a new foundation. And my husband works for Goya, and Bob Unanue he's a passionate man who loves children. And he is. And he means what he says. When he says that this is a gran familia and he cares about children. And we were at a corporate meeting, and I was sharing with him the struggle we were going through, and he's like, Elsa, we have to save the children. and he challenged me to step up and make a difference. And so we started Meant to Soar. And what we do is we come alongside of children who have wounded hearts due to parental substance abuse and trafficking. A lot of these children are being raised by grandparents, foster parents, and adopted parents. We do events to help these kids find their gifting, because every child is meant to soar. When my daughter was on stage, she was soaring. She was soaring. If you think of a seed planted in fertile soil, it will grow into a healthy tree and bear fruit. But not every seed has that opportunity. And so that's what we do at Meant to Soar, is we create opportunity for these children to find their gifting and help them find healing.
Offers many free resources, but 9 times out of 10 when we get a call on this subject, we're going to go right back to Jennifer Hohman, who's sort of an anchor for us and a resource. Jen, I want to pass it to you, and then I'd like to open it up if you guys have any questions, before we wrap up. But when a parent has to make that dreaded call that they can't find a child, what are the first few things you need to know? And I'll say the one that I know very well is every parent should have access to their child's social media accounts. You don't like that, I know. But we need to be able in an emergency to figure out who's talking to you, who have you been connecting to. It's very, very important. But what are the things parents need at that moment, law enforcement needs at that moment? Because we call you.
I'll give you an example. The first girl I ever knew, I saw the Facebook post go on, she was missing. The father had no clue I was gone. She was gone for 8 days. trafficked, heroin, everything, really bad. The first thing when I get the call is my friend my friend's daughter's missing. The first thing I do, number one, is talk to the family. Are we for real? And have you put in a police report, right? Because the first thing, if your child's gone within 24 hours, the first thing you do is put in a police report. The next thing I call is a private investigator who pro bono does this work and doesn't get paid for it and refuses to charge parents for going and looking for their families. And I encourage any and all donations and help to both Crime Stoppers and everything. And so here's what he does. He literally has to get 2 stories. One was the physical, what I call the ground work. Where was the child physically the last time they were there? It's the old school way of investigating. It's what police do, and go and find the physical thing too. But now what police and this private investigators, what I call the digital game. Because in that phone is the story. In that phone is where he, or we thought it was a he, or we thought it was a young boy, love bombing her because they knew her friend, and all of a sudden they become friends, and I can see it right down the path. It's literally a framework, a template that happens every single time. And I've been involved in the recovery of over 350 children at this point. Again, I'm not saying 2 children. I'm not saying 10 children. 350 people that I've helped one way or long, either recovering them, rescue what people can rescue, or getting them to restoration services, or standing alongside them as they live in a new world after being trafficked. And literally that digital game is all in that phone. You see it. He talks to her, all of a sudden they're friends, all of a sudden they're boyfriend, all of a sudden it's send me a picture, all of a sudden it's I'm gonna send you a picture. By the way, you don't even know if that's a picture of him. All of a sudden then he's what? Blackmailing you. Now he has a picture of you in a promiscuous situation, and he tells you he's gonna either tell your parents, tell the school, tell your friends, tell your church, and now he's blackmailing you. Does that make sense? And then all of a sudden, or he convinces, hey, go meet me here. And the minute you go meet, I've lost her. She's gone, right? And then either we get you back in a few days, or we don't see you for months or years. And sometimes, very few, but sometimes, it's time to bury them. So that is how serious it is. So from a digital standpoint, kids, the only way I know how to come find you if you go missing is what's in that phone. And if your parents don't have your social media account information, then I can't find out what's happening in Gram. I can't find out what's happening in the snaps, in the messaging of snaps. I can't find what's happening in that calculator app that looks like a real app calculator, but is not. So unless your parents have the ability to get into that phone, because oh, by the way, police can't get into it either, because the Apple, especially Apples, are highly secure. If they don't have that, and you go missing, or somebody takes you off the street, I don't know if I'm getting you back dead or alive. Does that make sense? Because unless I have the digital game or the digital path, we can't recover you. So that's what you do. Parents, one more time, be someone they can trust. Be someone they can talk to. Don't overreact. When you say it's my way or the highway, guess what? The highway has drug traffickers, sex traffickers, it has it all. It has opioids, it has heroin, it has anything. So don't be a parent that your child can't talk to. And if you are not the person that your child can't talk, if you're not the person your child feels comfortable sharing things with, by God, find someone that they can, where they won't break your child's confidence, but the child will share enough to make sure they're always safe. But if your child is in danger, they'll call you and let you know her health is hurt. She's at risk. Something's wrong. Something's bad. Does that make sense? Yes. If you can't in it get to your my way or past the my way or highway or being a totally crazy strict parent, get somebody that can stand alongside your child and walk alongside them while they're honest and transparent with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's real important. And the thing that as she's speaking, because I remember that feeling of panic and everything's out of control in your world. And in my heart, and I just keep hearing, for you are my God, your spirit is good, lead me in the path of uprightness. You have to have, Lord, I need your peace and I need your wisdom to walk through the chaos of what I'm about to walk through, because it feels overwhelming. And you need to walk with an organization that can help you have the wisdom to know the steps of how to handle what you're about to walk through. And Crime Stoppers can help you. Goya Cares, There's tons of organizations. There's grandparents raising grandchildren. There's parents of addicted loved ones. There are tons of organizations out there to walk with you. But also, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of sound mind. And I'm telling you, you're right. We can lose our mind. And if we lose our mind and we're out of control, now there's just chaos. And things will go downhill fast. And you're only going to make things worse. But we have to stay in control, because when we lose control, then it just gives a predator more power in the situation. So we need to not walk alone, find other people to walk with us. And like she said, Crime Stoppers is here to help us. And so don't do it alone. Find somebody to help you, to calm you down and give you the peace and walk with you. But God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of sound mind. And you're not alone. We can overcome this. Yeah.
Si usted o alguien cercano es víctima de trata de personas, no dude en buscar ayuda. También entre a goyacares.com y busque recursos para educarse y compartir con familia y amigos sobre las señales de la trata de personas. Los invitamos a ver el documental Víctimas en el canal de YouTube de Goya Cares.
Nobody even knows I exist. I have no friends. Clearly she doesn't like me. Why wasn't I invited? They live like 3 houses down. I hate this. I hate my life. I'm never gonna...
Press pause, Mateo. I'm you, years from now. And let me tell you, life turned out pretty good, man. I know you can't see it now, but all these feelings you have in the moment you're in right now, it's nothing more than that. A tiny moment. God chose you for a purpose. You're gonna go off and make those friends, the right ones. You're gonna have a family that likes you for you.
And you are gonna go off and do extraordinary things.
So my advice to you now, just take a breath, press pause, and remember, you are a precious gift from God. You are valued.
Goya Cares, because you are a precious gift from God.
Si quieres conectarte con tus raíces, no necesitas el último smartphone. Necesitas los discos para empanadas Goya. Porque les puedo poner lo que más me gusta. Son muy fáciles de usar. Crujientes. Y puedo hacer las empanadas como me enseñó mi mamá. Discos para empanadas Goya. Tan buenos que tu teléfono no va a dejar de sonar para que les des la receta.
Si es Goya, tiene que ser bueno.